So picture this, a country famous for buying the absolute best, most expensive fighter jets money can buy is now window shopping for a budget option. Kind of weird, right? Why would one of the wealthiest air forces on Earth even consider this? Well, let's get into it.
I mean, it really doesn't seem to add up at first glance, does it? The Royal Saudi Air Force. We're talking about a fleet packed with some of the most advanced American and European jets ever made. So why on earth would they be looking at a budget fighter? That's the big puzzle, and we're going to unpack it right now.
Okay, to really get why this is happening, you've got to look at how they've operated for, well, decades. Their strategy was super simple. Buy the best of the best and buy it from the West. But, putting all your eggs in one basket, well, that strategy is starting to show some serious cracks. And that is not an exaggeration at all. I mean, their hangars are literally filled with the best stuff out there. Top-of-the-line American F-15s, the incredible Eurofighter Typhoon. It's easily one of the most powerful air forces in the world. But here's the catch they're running into. Being the #1 customer for Western gear doesn't always mean you're in the driver's seat.
So a few big things are really pushing them to rethink their whole approach. For one, these big Western arms deals, they often come with political strings attached, telling them where and how they can use their own planes. Then there's the cost. The money it takes to just fly and maintain these elite jets is astronomical. And maybe the biggest thing, the threats they're facing today have changed. Think about it. They're dealing with cheap drones. You can't use a $100 million Typhoon to swat down a simple drone. It's like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It just doesn't make any sense long term.
All right, so if that's the problem, what's the solution that's got everyone talking? Well, say hello to the JF-17 Thunder. This jet comes from a completely different mindset, and it's a really interesting new option coming out of the East. So, what is the JF-17? It's a lightweight, single-engine fighter that's a joint project between China and Pakistan, and its entire reason for being is built around one simple idea: give you modern, high-tech capabilities, but without that crazy expensive price tag you see on Western jets. And listen, don't let that budget word fool you for a second. The newest version, the Block 3, is absolutely packed with cutting-edge technology. We're talking a helmet-mounted display, which lets the pilot literally aim their weapons just by looking at a target. That's the kind of feature you find on the most expensive, top-tier fighters out there. Okay, now let's talk about the radar system, because this is a huge deal. The JF-17 Block 3 comes with what's called an ASA radar. Now, to put that in simple terms, it's like upgrading from a regular old flashlight to one of those super powerful multi-beam searchlights. It means the pilot can see and track way more targets from much farther away. And on top of that, it's incredibly hard for an enemy to jam. But if there's one thing that is the JF-17's true trump card, it's this: the Chinese-made PL-15 missile. And this is not just any old missile. Its range is estimated to be over 200 kilometers. That is exceptional. We're talking about a single weapon that could completely change the rules of an air-to-air engagement. So all this brings us to the main event, right? Typhoon versus Thunder. How does this scrappy, affordable challenger actually stack up against Saudi Arabia's top-of-the-line European fighter? Well, as you're about to see, this is way more than just a tech specs comparison. It's really a clash of two totally different philosophies. When you put them side by side, the different approaches become crystal clear. Look, the Typhoon is a twin-engine beast. It's faster, it flies higher. In a classic close-in dogfight, it's gonna win. Think of it as the pure athlete. But the JF-17, it's playing a totally different game. Its advantage comes from its advanced sensors and, most importantly, its longer range weapon. So it's less of an athlete and more of a deadly, modern marksman. And this right here shows you exactly why that marksman analogy is so important. Now, the Typhoon's Meteor missile is absolutely world-class, no question. But the PL-15 on the JF-17 just outranges it, and by a lot. In a modern dogfight, which almost always happens beyond visual range, this means the JF-17 pilot gets to shoot first. They could launch a missile long before the Typhoon pilot is even in a position to fire back. That, my friends, is a total game changer. So you see the trade-off here, right? It all boils down to this. Do you want the raw, elite flight performance of the Typhoon, which costs a fortune? Or do you want the next-gen sensors and the longer-reaching missiles of the JF-17 for a fraction of the cost? For Saudi Arabia, the big question is, which one of those is actually more useful on today's battlefield? So look, this whole thing, it's not just about buying a new plane. This potential purchase signals a massive shift in their entire strategy. It's really the start of a whole new era for the Royal Saudi Air Force, one that's all about being more flexible and not relying on just one or two suppliers. And I want to be super clear about this. They're not looking to replace their expensive Typhoons, not at all. The idea is to supplement them. The JF-17 would come in to play a complementary role, and what you end up with is a much more balanced and frankly a more financially sustainable Air Force. This is a pretty classic military strategy. It's called the high-low mix. Here's how it works. You keep your most expensive, most powerful jets, that's your high end, and you save them for the most critical, high-stakes missions. Then, for everything else, routine patrols, intercepting those cheap drones we talked about, you use your more affordable but still very capable low-end jets. It saves an incredible amount of money and, just as important, saves a ton of wear and tear on your best planes. And you can bet this move has massive geopolitical implications too. I mean, just look at this. Buying the JF-17 would break their almost total dependence on Western suppliers. It's sending a really clear signal that Saudi Arabia is branching out, diversifying its partners, and wants to have more direct control over its own national defense. When you boil it all down, this whole pivot, this entire shift in thinking, it's driven by one single goal: strategic independence. If you have multiple suppliers, no single country can hold political leverage over your security. It's all about giving yourself more freedom to act. And that leaves us with a really big final thought, right? As technology from countries outside the West gets better and better, is what we're seeing from Saudi Arabia a preview of the future? Could this kind of flexible multi-supplier model, balancing the elite performance with smart, cost-effective tech, become the new normal for air forces all over the globe? Something to think about.